because for anything that exists, if you collect it, there's probably somebody else who does too. There's probably a lot of people who also collect that same thing. And if you can't find them, then you're sitting around thinking this is the thing that only I care about. But if you just knew that there's a guy 2 blocks away from you and there's a person on the other end of the world as you who like the same things, and we can now be connected because there's a platform built to bring us together to allow us to communicate about these things that we love. I think a lot of people are going to jump at that, even if they're on the end of the spectrum where they only collect a couple of things and they don't think about it as their identity. There's still a way for them to get deeper down the rabbit hole for the things that they love.
Totally. Yeah, now there's so many companies, Fanatics obviously being one of the big ones in the sports space that are investing so much in the experience for collectors. We were both at Fanatics Fest.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever invested that kind of money
Oh,
in this space. Like that is not something that has ever happened before. And I think the long-term impacts of that are pretty significant. Because
yeah,
before that, there are like there really aren't any sports card people who have more than like 100,000 followers on social, right? So
right.
when you think about that, you think, okay, well, the potential audience can't be that much bigger than 100,000.
Mhm.
But the way that you grow that is by giving people incredible experiences that bring them
Yeah,
closer to the industry, to the hobby, and uh, you know, having every superstar. Like you turned right and Tom Brady was there. You turned left and Dr. J was there. All the top
mhm.
streamers are in the same building. Uh, those kind of things are going to have great impacts on the hobby long term, and I just want to see
Yeah,
more of it in every space. Like
absolutely.
every sub niche of collectibles has room to be modernized. I don't know if you've ever been to like a coin show or like
Yeah.
some of these other shows. Like they're so old fashioned. Like they
Mhm.
need to be modernized and made cool because there's a lot of, I think, potential revenue streams for people like you're talking about for the collector who's not going to go in and just, flash like $10,000 cash and
Absolutely.
buy a coin or a Rolex. Like there's
Yeah,
there's money to be made
totally.
from
And
collecting.
on that, part of why we built Mantle is because a lot of these communities have been using old school message boards that look like they did in 2005, like at the dawn of the internet communities, when Alexis Ohanian was building Reddit. Like this is the competition that he had at that time. It's people on these old school message boards, and many of them have not changed how they operate, how they look since that point in time. And so, can we create something that's easier to use, that's actually built for today, that has features that people are more used to, be able to have photos and video and all that stuff. So that's part of why we built Mantle. But the other thing is that there's a lot of gatekeeping in collectibles communities. There's a lot of people that say like you don't own this or you haven't been here as long as I have. You don't know these things as well as I know it, and as a result, your opinion isn't valid or you don't belong here. I think one of the things you're talking about Fanatics Fest that I appreciated the most about that event is that the goal was to bring people in who weren't already card collectors. This wasn't saying come in here because you go to the national every year. Come in here because you are somebody who owns the most obscure, rarest cards in the world. It's saying, I don't care if you've ever collected a card. I want you to come in because Speed is going and running the 40-yard dash over there. And Travis Scott is passing out cards over here. And you can go through the WWE entrance, experience, and you can pretend that you're, Triple X or whatever. And Triple H, I guess that's more appropriate. Triple H, like they wanted all of those people coming in and saying like, come hang out with us because you like those things. But by the way, we got a whole card show over there. You should walk by. You should go grab something. By the way, there's sneakers back here. Mitchell and S over there. There's autograph signings over there. That's the way that this ecosystem is going to grow. Is not just saying, hey, if you're already one of us, you can come in, and if you're not really, you don't belong here. But instead saying, we want everybody who's even thought about a card in their past to come in and hang out because that's how we're going to get more people. I mean, for Fanatics, it's how people are going to go buy things on Tops or sign up for Fanatics Live or whatever. Makes a ton of sense for them. But I think it's better in general for the ecosystem just to get more people exposed to the things that we love. This is going to be so much better for everybody if more people are in it. Instead of being exclusionary, saying, let's all come in and do it. There's enough stuff out there for all of us to collect different things that we all love and appreciate. I think this is a much better ecosystem if it's open to new people, if it's open to people who know less than us, don't have as much money or whatever those things are, to say, hey, come on in. There's always a way there's something you can get or something you can look at, something you can learn. And we're going to be here to help shepherd you and make this thing that's fun. Because at the end of the day, there's so many easier ways to make money. There are easier ways to spend your time. There are less stressful things to do with your hobbies than collecting if you don't get a lot of joy out of it. And if you get joy out of it, for me, I want to spread that with other people that I interact with.
Totally. Yeah, and like the thing that I love about collecting, especially recently, is just like the thrill of the hunt, like finding
Yeah.
new things, finding out about new things, trying to identify what are the most interesting things in, a sub niche. Like we were talking a few months back about like stock certificates.
Yeah.
And, back in the day, every issued share of stock would be printed out on a physical thing. And, there's some out there that are signed by like Thomas Edison, and there are
Yeah.
some out there that are signed by like presidents of the United States. Like
Yeah.
there's insane stuff in that category.
Yeah. And you turned me on to it. I ended up, because you flagged it for me. I got a certificate from 1926 for some shares of Converse, and this was before the Converse All Star had been created. It's before Chuck Taylor. He had been a manager as part of the Converse company at that point, like managing their basketball investments or they're managing their basketball team, whatever it was. But the Chuck Taylor, that shoe had not been named for him yet at that point, and it's signed by Marquise Mills Converse. It's signed by the guy who founded it. It's now going through authentication. I'm hoping it comes back, and I mean, I have zero doubt that it's authentic, but like going through that process. And this is something from 1926. It's before, before the Great Depression. It's a physical piece of paper that's been signed in a fountain pen by the guy that created Converse. I've got his autograph on something. I mean that's insanely cool. I got one from Planet Hollywood recently that it's all facsimile autographs, but it's like Schwarzenegger and like all these like huge stars, Sylvester Stallone. None of it, they're not authentic autographs because at that point you're certainly not going to send 5 shares over to Arnold to have him sign for everybody who invested in the restaurant.